Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Escapades channel in Malaysia. After months of anticipation, McFarlane Toys has finally rolled out the official product images and pre-order details for the new Batman and Robin movie series of figures. And I have to say that, once again, this is without a doubt the best action figure series of Batman movie toys ever released so far. That's right. And it is so ironic that it's based off the movie that has generally been regarded as the single worst entry in the franchise. The one that was such a colossal underperforming disappointment that Warner Brothers put a stop to all future Batman live action projects, and it took almost a decade for The Dark Knight to return in the Christopher Nolan movies. Now, in the years since then, of course, this movie has developed a cult following among a new generation of fans who appreciate its overwhelmingly campy and over the top nature, and who mostly just enjoy watching countless YouTube videos that have been created that are poking fun at the film and its characters, and also some of the insane dialogue that's contained within. But speaking as someone who saw this in theaters back in 1997 when it came out and was exposed to all of the reactions as they were happening live, I would say that back then, okay, right back then in 97, nobody wanted anything to do with this film. Just nobody at all. Okay, not the audience, not the actors, no one. All right. But these figures, on the other hand, that McFarlane are putting out are just utterly amazing. And I'm calling them the best action figure series based on a Batman movie because if you just took a look at them as a whole, this collection here has no less than 5 different characters that all have their actor likenesses fully locked in. I mean, for a retail release, these are some of the best looking, articulated, movie accurate figures ever made. And this is also the best movie set, I think, in terms of the value. As McFarlane, well, they've always had the best action figure prices in the market. And they're also giving you one of the easiest ways to get a completely new fifth figure. So a lot of the other companies out there would stretch these kind of sets to maybe 6 or 8 figures to build a new figure. But here you only need to invest in 4 figures to get a fully awesome bonus figure, which in this case is Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze himself. Now, I do remember that during the Christopher Nolan era from about 10 years ago, Mattel was putting out some pretty good movie-related product, especially with their Movie Masters line based off The Dark Knight Rises. But those figures were just not colorful and fun and didn't have that comic book vibe. It felt like you were collecting figures from an adult crime thriller like Reservoir Dogs or something like that. Now, while we don't have the actual images of the new McFarlane Wave in hand just yet, these are the final product images that they're sharing out, and I think that we can all agree that with McFarlane, the in-hand figure always matches the promotional pictures. For example, if they showed you a promo image of a 1989 Keaton Batman figure that doesn't look anything like Keaton at all, then you can expect the final figure to not look like him either. Now, I do believe that this is legitimately the very first time we're getting a George Clooney action figure in 7-inch scale. Okay, think about that. But, then again, George Clooney has never really been the kind of actor to choose roles that I think warrant action figures to be made. Okay, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody asking for, like, say, an Ocean's 11 action figure or something like that. But he was in From Dusk Till Dawn. That's probably like the only other movie I can think of that would probably warrant an action figure line. And surprisingly, all of the companies that normally do horror movie lines, they've never touched From Dusk Till Dawn until today. Okay, so that's a little bit weird. But here we find that McFarlane is just pulling out all the stops. Okay, we're getting this really great looking sculpt here of George Clooney as Batman, and I'm pretty sure that at some point they're going to put out a version of this figure that's unmasked. Okay, so we're going to get like the full George Clooney head from like all the way back in 97, okay, when he was first starting out. And he was lucky, all right? As an actor, George Clooney was probably like the only one to really survive this movie, okay, at that point, okay, because he was just such a huge star. This movie failed, it flopped, it crashed and burned, it was humiliated, laughed at, but people still wanted to see Clooney in other things, all right? So he survived it, all right? And one thing about this particular figure, I can't but notice that the cape appears to maybe be made out of some kind of PVC, perhaps. It doesn't look like cloth to me, which is a bit of a surprise because the Keaton figure before this had a cloth cape. All right, so really need to get this thing in hand or see some first-hand reviews perhaps. You will notice that the figure does not appear to come with any kind of accessories at all. Okay, so that's a bit of a surprise. Okay, what's the deal here? not even like a grappling gun, a batarang, nothing like that. And also, we're getting a lot of parts here, definitely, to build Mr. Freeze, right? So could that be one of the key reasons why they had to scale back on the cost, okay, because of the budget required to put in the bonus Mr. Freeze parts? I don't know, all right? But you will notice that there's a trading card that's also included here. This is a standard pack-in for every McFarlane toy figure, but this was a little bit special because it has the actor likeness, all right? It has the actual actor likeness, George Clooney, taken from the movie poster. And something like this, I can tell you, okay, in the 90s, a trading card like this, man, people would actually want it, all right? These days, I'm not really sure what the market is like for trading cards anymore, but I can tell you that there was definitely a trading card boom back in the 90s when this movie first came out. So seeing this card here, okay, with an image that's taken from that time, man, it sure hits that nostalgic button. And next up, we've got the Chris O'Donnell Robin figure. Once again, McFarlane completely hits the bullseye with this figure. The sculpting is just top notch. I mean, Chris O'Donnell, obviously, he debuted in Batman Forever. So at this point, he wasn't new to the franchise. But the thing is, Batman Forever was a very well received movie compared to Batman and Robin. Okay, you gotta wonder what happened there in the space of just 2 years. Okay, how did the quality just drop so bad? And Chris O'Donnell is one of those names from like 30 years ago. He was one of those bright, up and coming, rising star talents in Hollywood. He was featured in a lot of movies in those days, Scent of a Woman, usually in a supporting role. But then you knew that, they were working him up to maybe be a big star, a big headlining star. And I don't think that that actually happened for him. I don't think that he ever had a chance to actually be in a major lead role in a Hollywood movie because everything after Batman and Robin, okay, sort of like just went downhill for a number of actors here. And Chris, in fact, over the years has found greater success on TV with stuff like NCIS and things like that. And when I look at the sculpt of this figure, it just reminds me of Chris O'Donnell from back in the day when it seems that he was just on this really upward trajectory. He could have been like maybe the next Tom Cruise. He could have been anybody, all right? But it seems that after this movie, a lot of things just went downhill for a number of actors, like I mentioned. But the sculpt on this, like I said, is really good. And once again, there appears to be something of a plastic or PVC cape that it comes in, just like Batman. So it looks like quite a number of these figures are going to be phasing out maybe the cloth capes. I'm not really sure. But overall, we've got Batman and Robin with very good actor likenesses on both of their figures here. Alicia Silverstone's Batgirl is also hitting the mark on this. Okay, they got the sculpt of Alicia really well done here. And you know what? The Alicia Silverstone Batgirl character, I remember watching the movie and thinking to myself that the character was just crammed into there really fast. Like you had to accept the fact that she was Batgirl really fast and just go along with the story because everything was just going to be wrapped up really quick. And it was just one of those characters that I felt probably just worked for that particular time. I don't remember anybody actually asking for the role to be reprised. And certainly, I don't think that Alicia Silverstone actually enjoyed making the movie. There was an interview making the rounds where she talks about her experience making the movie, and apparently the media was really harsh on her back during those days. And a lot of people were calling her fat girl, it seems. And I was just thinking to myself, was she fat in the movie? Because I had to look at the photo of her again and try to figure out where exactly was all this animosity coming from. So it seems really unjustified. And when you take into account, that was like at a period when the internet was just barely starting off. Okay, we didn't really even have internet in full swing here in Malaysia at the time. So even then, like an actress would face this kind of backlash for a role that she was taking on. And again, Alicia Silverstone at that point, just like Chris O'Donnell, she was also a rising talent in Hollywood. She had a whole future ahead of her. And I just kind of feel that the failure of this movie sort of like just derailed all her plans because she hasn't really been in anything big, okay, since then. All right, if you think about it, okay, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the fallout of this movie's release. Then we get down to the Thurman figure again. You know what, like I said, okay, this is the best ever Batman movie wave because they've got all the actor and actress likenesses down, fully down. This is Thurman as Poison Ivy. As you remember her from the movie, this is her, not some other actress's face, but Thurman herself. And you know what, the sculpt is amazing, all right? But just like all of the other figures, she doesn't come with any accessories. Although I'm not really sure what you could have given in this set together with the figure, probably some plants, maybe something like that. But it's important to note that Thurman this is probably like her second ever major action figure release since playing the role of the bride in Kill Bill. Okay, so NECA did a whole bunch of bride figures back in the day, Kill Bill 1 and 2. So this is the second character of hers to now be immortalized as a 7-inch scale action figure. And finally, once you get all of these guys together, you get to build the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze figure. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie was absolutely the most over the top character. Okay, the whole movie is just filled with characters just saying and doing whatever they want to do, apparently. But Arnold is probably having like the most fun. They just packed his character with the most insane, ludicrous one liners. At the time, it was just so cringy to listen to and sit through. But now, okay, I mean, now you can afford to actually watch the movie again, watch Arnold go at it, and it's funny. Okay, I gotta admit, okay, it's hilarious because you know now for a fact that there was never again another Batman movie since to actually feature anything resembling campy humor. Okay, there was never again a Batman movie that just gave you a reason to just laugh at the movie, laugh at the actors, or anything like that. Everything else after this, from the point that Batman Begins started in 2005, everything else from that point onwards was just total darkness and just started to get increasingly bleak, right? So this was the last time, all right, that a Batman movie was just colorful and campy, and Arnold was a huge part of that. And in fact, this was actually one of the very last movies that Arnold was in that actually did $100 million at the box office. Okay, that was actually considered blockbuster numbers, even though it was a critical and commercial disappointment overall. It still crossed $100 million, and I don't think that Arnold would ever have $100 million grossing title again until he did something like Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines all the way in 2003. Okay, many years after this, he was in that project, but I think that one did the numbers that it did because of the strength of what the Terminator franchise was. All right, so Arnold was never again in a huge blockbuster release. Okay, like a year before this, a year before Batman and Robin, he was in stuff like Eraser, which also did $100 million. So he was still a big international movie star. But I think that after this was the point that he started to focus on politics. He joined the governorship and stuff like that. So, when he finally got back into movies, it was like a whole different world. But this particular Mr. Freeze figure, I gotta tell you, okay, it just looks amazing. And in fact, it elevates the figure. I never thought that Mr. Freeze in the movie was a serious character. I never bought him as a scientist or whatever he was supposed to be doing in there. All right. But as a figure, I feel that the figure itself, the sculpt of Arnold that you see here, is just better than anything that we actually saw in the movie itself. Now, look, guys, okay, if you told me like a quarter of a century ago in 1997 that we will be getting high quality Batman Robin movie action figures today, I would just say that you were out of your damn flipping mind, okay? Because at that point, okay, nobody wanted anything to do with this movie. And in fact, the action figures that were in the market, produced by Kenner for kids, okay, that stuff was just languishing in the clearance bins for like a couple of years, right? So there was no way that anybody could have thought that this franchise, this particular movie, would be revisited. But here we have it, guys. Okay, McFarlane's doing it, and they're doing it better than ever before. Drop your comments below. Let me know what you think of this wave, and I'll catch you guys again real soon. Take care out there.